Okay, we're going to study a third chamber lecture by Master Samael. And there will be some understanding about Kabbalah, some introductory ideas about it, and then we can have some questions after, if you have any. So I'll go through it. Sometimes I will add my own explanations or clarifications of certain ideas and concepts. Yes. So this lecture is all about achieving the illuminating void. And this is something very important, the idea behind it, which essentially is, we have this teaching of kill the ego, right? And comprehend it. But that's very difficult to do, or it's more challenging when we haven't learned to see reality yet without the ego. And that's essentially what the illuminating void is. It's reality without the ego. And that's what we want to achieve. So the heights of meditation is about Samadhi, or this illuminating void. Okay, so I'll just start reading it and then you'll get more understanding about what this is. So, it's necessary to understand the need for the direct experience of what is real, reality. What's the opposite of reality? Illusions, right? Illusions are caused by ego. We could also call, if we're coming from a more Christian perspective, we could call reality God, right? Because the pure reality, without the human input, but really seeing reality. So it's necessary that the brothers and sisters train themselves absolutely in meditation. It's possible to reach the experience of the truth solely through the technique of meditation. Only in the absence of the mind can we experience what is real. And when we really experience it, we get to feel in ourselves an element that transforms us radically. So as I just said, if we can experience this illuminating void, this truth, this real meditation, then it's generally much easier to change because we start to have a light within. We start to see reality. That includes the reality of our psyche. We get deeper understanding. So there's no doubt, dear brothers, that the dissolution of the I, the ego, is often an arduous and difficult work. Therefore, the experience of what is real in the absence of the I, in the absence of the mind, is very useful and necessary. Because upon experiencing the truth, we can accumulate within ourselves certain forces that allow us to fight with more leverage, with more power against the ego, against the I. Unfortunately, the mind lives in incessant chatter, endless talking. It is not still for one moment. We have not even learned to think without words, and that is regrettable. We need some language to think in. It would be interesting to know how to think without words. So, as we learn here, we try to explain everything in words, but it's very difficult. It's limited. If I just tell you the being, God, the reality of these things is something way more than you can imagine. If I could give you images in your mind and transmit emotions behind it, this would be a much more better way to communicate, right? And we can communicate that in the internal worlds, in the astral. But here, where everyone is just talking, it's very difficult to talk about the truth and talk about reality. It's not really reality, it's just an interpretation of reality, right? The mind is endlessly divided in a battle of antithesis, in the struggle of opposites or duality. Such a mind, the divided, cannot experience the truth. So as we were just talking about, a person who carries a lot of conflict can't experience the truth. They're stuck in the mind too much. Jesus the Christ said, "Know the truth, and it will make you free." But the experience of what is real is not possible while the mind is divided in a battle of antithesis. with doubts, everything like that. When the mind is still, when the mind is in silence, then comes the new. If we want the experience of the truth, we need to learn to form the illuminating void in ourselves. Rare are those who have come to form the absolute void. Obviously, a suction pump is needed for this. Fortunately, we have it within our respiratory system, our lungs, our breathing, with the extraordinary canals of Ida and Pingala, the two serpents that go up the spine, the nervous system, along which flows the prana. We also need a dynamo, and we have it, the will, or conscious will. We need an energy-generating apparatus. It is established in our organism, in the creative organs, in the sexual organs. We have to learn to manage those instruments if we want to truly experience what is real. The illuminating void is the Holy Okidanokh, which we'll learn about. Omnipresent, omnipenetrating, omniscient. Okay? It's everywhere, in all things, and it knows all things. It's clear that the void, the Holy Okidanokh, originally comes from the sacred absolute sun. Every solar system has its sacred absolute sun, and ours is no exception. From there departs the Holy Okidanokh, the active Okidanokh. So, I've included this diagram here. This is the absolute void. And this is what Master Samael is referring to as the experience of the illuminating void, which is the emptiness and the nothingness within. It's way beyond creation. It's the highest dimension that you can conceive of. And it's a dimension that doesn't even have conception. It doesn't have existence because it's beyond existence. If we can understand that truth, it's the highest truth. It's even beyond God, this. So that's the highest dimension. Now, this yellow line here portrays the Holy Okidanokh, or it's also known as the ray of creation. So from here, this pure reality, this absolute reality, goes down, this unmanifested world goes down into the first world of the Father, okay, also known as Kether. That's the Father. Then it goes to the Son, and then it goes to the Holy Spirit. Okay, we're going to look more deeper after the lecture, but just to introduce. Then it goes here. This is the innermost being. Okay, this is when we say our being, this is the first aspect of our being, our innermost. And then we have the divine soul, which is like the perfect soul that we listen to, that tells us what is right and wrong. Then we have the human soul, which is more like the battle of our good will or our bad will. And this is the causal body, okay, beyond the mind. Below that, then we have the mental body, the world of thoughts. Then we have the astral body, the world of emotions. And then we have the vital body, the body of sex and vitality. And then the physical body, the physical world, okay? So this is the ray of Okidanokh, which exists in all worlds. So to continue, we'll look more into that. Before the manifestation, before anything was manifested, the Okidanokh contains in itself the three primary forces of creation. I want to refer emphatically to the holy affirming, which is the Father, the holy denying, which is the Son, and the holy reconciling, the Holy Spirit. So the Father is the active, positive force, the Son is the negative, passive force, and the holy reconciling, the Holy Spirit, or the Divine Mother, is the neutralizing force, or the union. Okay. At the beginning of the dawn of the Maha Manvantara, okay, so Maha means great. And Manvantara, it means a period, a certain cosmic period. You could also apply that to your life. Right now you're in a Manvantara. But a Mahamanvantara is, for example, we have come to the end of a Mahamanvantara now, and one is ending. A Mahamanvantara is a period over billions of years. Okay? At the beginning, the active Okidanokh, containing within itself the three basic factors of all creation, penetrates the worlds, but does not remain involved in the worlds. The Holy Okidanokh holds exact parallels with this statement in our planet Earth. When the dawn of the Mahamanvantara began, it penetrated into this, our planet, but it did not remain involved in it. Thus it was, in truth, how the Holy Okidanokh unfolded himself into three primary forces. These in India are Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. In the Western world, they are the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Among the annals of Egypt, Osiris, Isis, Horus. They are three forces, each one working in a self-independent way, but nevertheless united into the Holy Okidanokh. So it's pointing to the fact that here in the Absolute, the source of creation, or even beyond the source of creation, there holds the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the first aspects of divinity. Before anything, before thoughts, before will, before the being, before the astral world, emotions, before a physical world, this is first, right? The Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So it's through those three primary forces that the divine architect has been able to create the universe. When the great cosmic day ends, when the Mahamanvantara ends, ours ends soon, the three forces fuse again, integrate with the Holy Okidanokh in order to return to the sacred solar absolute. So this Holy Okidanokh is also known as the great breath, that in this universe, it's like God basically exhaled. It exhaled, and billions of years, and here we are. And then he's going to inhale soon, and everything comes back, right? That which we see in the microcosmos, that which we see in the worlds, repeats as well within the microcosm man, right? So all of this reality is really within ourselves. I have another diagram here, which you can see, which just portrays this, that the tree of life is within us too. That when we see Kether, or even the Absolute, it's this part of our body, right? And this relates to the practice that we'll do today as well. You can see here, do you remember the name of this one? This is the Kundalini, right? The tree of life. And then this one is the Kundabhafa. And you can see it's here, right? Below the coccyx, or like esoterically known as the Satan's tail. Within each of us, in the most profound depths of our consciousness, in the very roots of our being, is the Holy Okidanokh, omnipresent, omnipenetrating, omniscient, who is the one who unites us with the sacred Absolute Son. Obviously he, the Holy Okidanokh, eliminated himself, or better said, unfolded himself into those three factors that are known as Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, our most beloved Father, most adored Son, and most wise Holy Spirit. We need, dear brothers, to go beyond all the positive and negative forces of nature, even more beyond the three primary forces of creation in their manifestation, or never-ending process of modification. So he's saying that we need to go beyond even the positive and the negative. Psychologically, go beyond good egos or good thoughts, good emotions, and also go beyond the negative ones, right? We need to escape from the intellect, to go beyond the body, the affections, and the mind. During meditation, we need the mind to be still, inside and outside and in the center. When the mind is still, inside, outside, and in the center, then comes the Tao. That is to say, what is real. If we decide to form the illuminating void within us, it is obvious that we will come to experience the Holy Okidanokh, which, if we reflect on that, he's saying that when our mind is still, when we are very still, when we have stopped identifying with the external movements of life, we kind of have this sense that the world is moving, that there is birth and death. But when we make it still, or kind of when we make the world stop, not just the external world, but internally, there is a certain stillness and escape from the mind. And then we can experience this Holy Okidanokh, which means we get to experience not just this physical world, but we get a certain freedom because we escape the mind. So we get to experience not just trapped in emotions or the thoughts, but we get to experience the totality of the tree of life, of the whole being, of what we are. Maybe not completely in the beginning, but we get to experience some reality. So I would like to say in an emphatic way to our brothers who are gathered here tonight in the third chamber, that the mystical experience of what is real is usually a transcendental event that even causes terror, that can even cause us fear, that can be very scary. One has to leave fear to be able to immerse for a long time in the illuminating void, because in the illuminating void, we come to know that we are only drops of the great ocean. It is the Holy Okidanokh where the drop loses itself in the ocean and the ocean in the drop. The consciousness then becomes diluted. It expands so extraordinarily that we get to feel ourselves transformed into trees, into mountains, into birds, into worlds, into comets that travel through infinite space. So Master Samael there is trying to express this experience of reality, of the illuminating void, of this absolute reality, that you really become free of the mind and you get to experience something beyond. But that can be scary, right? Because the ego fears death. But if you can go beyond that fear, then you can go into a certain freedom. You can experience something beyond. In the Holy Okidanokh, seeing oneself converted into a tree, into water, etc., he feels afraid of annihilation, and the dread of death is usually unbearable. The Samadhi, the ecstasy, is lost, and one returns to the world of forms. But if one has the courage in that world and knows how to serenely endure it, he will comprehend that beyond all aspiration is the great reality, which is the sacred absolute sun. If no fear manages to make us not lose the ecstasy, we will bravely enter the sacred absolute sun. That is where we will get to experience the truth. There we will know the laws of nature, such as they are. In this world, we only know the mechanics of phenomena, mechanical associations and effects. But in this sacred absolute sun, we know the laws of nature as they are in themselves. The entire universe is contained in the omni-intelligent sacred absolute sun. The past and the future are twinned there in an eternal now, within an eternal present. There we will know all that is, all that has been, and all that will be. There we will be beyond time and far beyond the mind. When we experience the truth, we feel a formidable inner impulse that allows us to advantageously fight against the I, against the myself, against the oneself, and disintegrate it. And that is precisely why we must learn to form the illuminating void. It is urgent to wisely use the generating apparatus, the suction pump, and the dynamo. Unquestionably, the generating apparatus produces energies that ascend through the spinal canals of Ida and Pingala. We must take advantage of the sexual energy for Samadhi. as we've seen in some other classes before, it's a lot easier, or we could say it's essential, that if we want to experience Samadhi, this ecstasy of the greater reality beyond this dimension that we're all here in now, then, well, it's much easier to experience that when we are transmuting the sexual energy. Forming the absolute sun in the void is the important thing, and that is possible. So essentially he's saying here, we need to form a sun within us. Right now, mostly we're in darkness and we don't have a sun. We're trying to comprehend things ourselves with our intellect, but a sun can be formed, especially through alchemy, a certain solar energy that gives us light. So, in a more practical part now, because this will apply to our meditation, sitting in a comfortable position, we inhale, and when inhaling the prana, we imagine that the energy rises from the creative organs to the brain. It is inhaled with the mantra HAM and exhaled with the mantra SA. This is a more deeper understanding or a deeper practice of HAM SA now that we'll practice here. We could call it Ecstatic HAM SA. Okay. HAM SA is the mantra of meditation. HAM to inhale, SA to exhale. When inhaling, the mantra must be vocalized with the mind. But when exhaling, it is articulated with the creative larynx, the throat. The mind, in that instant, must be completely still, inside and out. That's a very important point, that when we do pranayama, keep the mind concentrated. It's very unadvisable to be in daydreams when doing pranayama, because in a sense, you're reprogramming your nervous system. So the mind should be concentrated on something, God, anything pure. Okay. The inhalation becomes, this is the part which we haven't studied before. The inhalation becomes each time deeper, okay, and the exhalation becomes each time shorter. Okay, so today we're going to practice here so that you know the technique, but you must continue with that same practice in your homes daily, incessantly, until one day you'll be able to have the experience of the illuminating void. Until one day you'll be able to experience the truth. Jesus the Christ said, know the truth and it will make you free. The one who has succeeded in experiencing the truth obviously is charged with a formidable energetic potential that allows him to fight more advantageously against the I to dissolve it, to disintegrate it. We need to accumulate forces within ourselves because we are too weak, and those forces can only be given to us by the sacred absolute sun. So, my dear brothers, let us see this practice. I repeat, in your homes, you must practice daily. Everyone seated will inhale very slowly through the nostrils, mentally pronouncing the mantra HAM. Exhale, SA, inhale, exhale. Okay? Continue indefinitely, and this is more, we won't do this one today, but this is something you can do at night before you go to sleep, or as you go to sleep too, because in the heights of this kind of meditation, advanced meditation, something profound could happen where you really go beyond your mind, you go beyond your body, etc. Continue indefinitely without thinking about anything, with your eyes closed, trying to fall asleep as you do that practice. The inhalation is slower and deeper each time. The exhalation is shorter and faster each time. Okay? That's the important part. Inhalation is slower and deeper each time. Exhalation is shorter and faster each time. So it could be like this. I'm starting just like this. Okay, that's normal. We know that, right? But as I continue, the inhalation goes longer. The sa is faster. I'm not exerting myself. It's just short, okay? And a more profound part, which Master Samael explains here, from outside inward, in a simple way, with the inhalation deeper each time, the sexual forces are going to flow from outside inward. The deeper and more profound the inhalation, the more profound, the more deep is the advance of the sexual energies inward and upward as well. The exhalation, for that reason, becomes shorter each time. Okay. As he said, it's kind of like a pump. Inhaling longer, exhaling shorter. In the high flights of the spirit, for the great athletes of meditation, those who are very advanced in this, only the inhalation remains. So that's a very interesting and mystical part. That for a very advanced meditator who understands this, they only inhale. And there's no exhale, right? And during Samadhi, the breathing should be suspended. Something impossible, but certainly true. So I can tell you this is true, that at some point during this practice, your body will stop breathing too. It's very relaxed, very ecstatic, but you won't be breathing anymore. But it's not something you can think about or force. It's a very advanced and ecstatic state of meditation, way beyond the mind. Okay, so almost finished. When the essence is immersed within the Holy Okidanokh, it perceives things in themselves as they are. Okay, so you're in this state, you're in Samadhi. Your consciousness has been extracted from physical consciousness form, and it's somewhere else, okay, and above in the superior dimensions. Everything is perceived as they are, reality, beyond the ego, beyond human interpretation, and not as they apparently are, okay? And transmits everything to our personality, to the mind. Here, the person, the personality, the intellectual and emotional centers are brought into harmony with the mind, and the latter gathers the vibrations sent by the essence from the illuminating void. Okay, so the person is in Samadhi, in this experience, and then, upon losing Samadhi, right, maybe the person starts to breathe now or something like that. Upon returning to the personality, the memory remains, for this reason, in the mind. So if we organize the sexual forces in this centripetal manner, that is, that they always vibrate from outside inward and not from inside towards the outside, the nocturnal emissions that are so frequent in everyone will end too, because the energies are going in and upward. After the sexual energies flow from outside toward inside, the nocturnal emissions will end, will finish, and that's very important. Probably Master Samael had a student there that's struggling with that. That's why he added that part, right? So yes, and just before we have some questions about that, I'll show you this, just to give you a little understanding of Kabbalah here. This is the illuminating void here, okay? This is us here. These four are known as the bodies of sin. And when we transmute the energy and practice alchemy, we are creating the solar bodies, right? So we're creating a solar astral body, a solar mental body. But right now, these are esoterically known as bodies of sin, that because they're in darkness, they're not illuminated. So this is basically this part of ourself, the physical body, the vital body, astral body, mental body, is the most human part of us. Above that, the causal body, which is related to the conscious will, basically when we know we are following our being in life, this is shining, right? This is illuminated, it's active. Right? And it's beyond the mind, it's beyond thoughts. The conscious will is superior to the mental body, to the thoughts. Okay? This part of us is, you could say, the divine human. The divine, it's also known as the monad, our particular being. So there's a causal body, the human soul. Here is when we choose either to ascend or corrupt, right? This is where we try our best to listen to our being, okay? Try to listen to our divine soul. And then we have the innermost being here. And you can see here the ray of the Okidanokh. So this is the innermost being. And then beyond that, that's connected to the Divine Mother here. Between there is a hidden Sephiroth, a hidden sphere, and it's called Da'ath. It's also known as the Gnostic Church, the mouth of God. It's also Gnosis. This is where the direct experience of the divine is, or where pure creation speaks to the innermost. So here you can see this yellow line, the Holy Okidanokh, the omnipenetrating ray of creation, like an electric creative current that distributes and harmonizes the entire tree of life. It balances and unites all opposing forces, synthesis and comprehension of all creation, all of ourself. So here, this is the Absolute. There's also three aspects of the Absolute before the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So here we have, first is the Ayin Sof Aur, the Ayin Sof, and the Ayin. Okay? There is these three aspects of the Absolute. We'll start with the Ayin. The Ayin is absolute nothingness, primordial, absolute void. As I said before, the most pure source of the highest dimension. You can't even call it the highest. That's why here it's also called zero. Or we could even say -1 or something like that. Even the concept of existence does not exist. No light, form, or thought beyond eternity and also beyond infinity. It's beyond everything, right? The Ayin Sof, also known as limitless, infinite potential, but it's still unmanifested reality, still beyond any form or creation. Think of an endless ocean of pure potential energy that hasn't taken any form yet. Okay? So remember, we're not just studying an external dimensions, but these are within us. This is part of us, or we have the potential to realize this and form it within us in meditation. Ayin Sof Aur, limitless light. So the Absolute begins to radiate its infinite energy outward, becoming the seed for creation. Imagine the first glimmer of light across the infinite ocean. It's the divine light of the great reality. So which you could also say, it is the illuminating void. We could call the Ayin the void, and the Ayin Sof Aur the illumination, the light. Okay. And then the last part here, so when the Absolute starts to manifest, it first goes into Kether, which is the Father. The first emanation from the Absolute. It begins to express itself in form, and existence begins to manifest. It's the first aspect of the being. Imagine the first ripple beginning to take form. So this is the first aspect of the being, which is quite a universal aspect too. And you can see here, this is the Father, and this triangle here is the Trinity, right? If you put these two together, then you have the Star of David here, which you can see here. And if you follow the Okidanokh line, the ray of creation, this is the first aspect of the being, second aspect of the being. So this is more cosmic and universal, incomprehensible. This is more comprehensible to us. We all have a particular ray of our being that comes from the Father. So we all have our own individual innermost being here, and it derives from the Father. Okay. So this Father here, this is the Father of our Father. When we say our Father, we're talking about the innermost or the Atmic body here. But that Father has a Father. Okay, and just to finish, Chokmah, which you follow here, is the Son. Creative energy flowing from the Father. This is the Christ. This is the cosmic Christ. Wisdom and love. You could imagine sunlight, endless, radiant, life-giving, it's sacrifice, and it's that kind of fire which exists in all things. And then Binah, the Divine Mother. Binah is the organizer of creation. She gives form, structures, laws. She creates the worlds. The Divine Mother, the Holy Spirit, that shapes and nurtures creation. If Chokma, the sun, is sunlight, pure light, imagine Binah as the prism that organizes light into a rainbow, giving it order and meaning. Okay, so a little bit advanced, right? But yeah, that's it.